All right, welcome to Stripe Watch, episode 4. Itaewon Class, episode 4 with Josh Hernandez.
What's up, everyone?
What is up? We're going to jump straight into episode 4. So, end of episode 3, we have Gunwan and Park Se-rui outside the police station, meeting after 10 years, basically. Since the confrontation, since his dad died, since all this went down. It's their first time meeting each other in 10 years. And basically, he's like, oh, like, you need help with your business? And Se-rui's like, no, I don't want help from you. Like, let's do this by the law. And he goes outside. He's all enraged. He's trying to, like, taunt Se-rui. He's like, hit me. You want to hit me? Don't you want to hit me? He admits that he killed his dad in the hit and run. We have all this emotional, like, climax with Yuseo watching. And then, basically, Park Se-rui's like, I can handle this. I've handled this for 9 years. I can do 6 more. I have a 15-year plan. So we end there. And then he has the whole quote. It goes, I have a 15-year plan. The statutes of limitations. Stubbornness and foolishness. I'll show you what it's like. You better brace yourself. He says this to Gunwan. And that's where we start the show. What's your first initial reaction to the show, this episode?
Well, I like how this episode gave us that quick brief recap, but then it also jumped into another scene of going deep into another character, and this is the character of Sungwon.
Yes.
How he ended up with Park Se-rui with Tanbam, and I'll talk about that part later because it's one of my highlights for the show.
All right, so we're gonna go straight into it. So this is the episode where basically, spoiler alert, Yuseo decides, hey, I want to join this guy. I want to work for him, and the whole story of how that happens. Josh, what's your Stripe Watch award? The scene that you remember the most?
For me, the scene that I remember the most for this particular episode is hold on.
Go for it.
I had that in my notes. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on.
Go for it.
I mean, because there honestly, this episode had a lot of good moments. If episode 3 was good, this one was good. Like
this one stands out for me.
It stepped up.
Yeah.
It definitely stepped up.
Yeah,
It stands out. Okay. Here's the thing. I have two most memorable scenes. One is more of for sentimental reasons. The other one is a more like on an objective standpoint, which I'll get to that now. I'll do the personal one right after. But for me, what I enjoyed just watching this show, this episode rather, was the scene when they were just running around Itaewon.
Oh, that's a great scene.
I love that scene so much because we see Park Se. It was perfect. The
soundtrack.
It's not seating arrangement. The running arrangement. How do I say it? Just where Park Se-rui was at.
Yeah.
While they were running, he was right at the middle of Yuseo and Sua.
Yeah.
And hint, stuff going on between the three of them, all that jazz. But more than that, really, I love just that that sort of dynamic. That dynamic shot where they're going around Itaewon, they're running around Itaewon. It was for me it was a charming way of just getting the viewers to be more familiar with what Itaewon is like.
Oh, that's true. We get a good look at
it. That scene in particular actually made me all the more curious what Itaewon is like. I went as far as checking out Google Maps. Oh, where is Park Se-rui's restaurant?
Oh my gosh.
Like that particular scene. That's why I love that scene so much.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed it because we have we have Park Seri and Iseo just running from the guy that was trying to hit on Iseo.
Yeah.
And we have Suha who's completely clueless, like, oh, what's going on? But okay, I'll run with you because you know you're my friend and whatnot.
Yeah.
That was memorable for me.
Mm.
My other scene that I remember also for very sentimental reasons was the part when what do you call this? Right after Gunwon had a conversation with his dad and played this board game with him. And Gunwon's like, "Oh, just watch me. I'm gonna crush Park Seri."
Mm.
You know, we get that. Oh man, what's he gonna do? And then right after, it cuts to the part where Park Seri is going, "Asumi, bounce with me! Asumi, bounce with me!" It was so funny. I remember laughing so much when I saw that. And here's the thing: when I watched that for the first time, I was laughing already.
Yeah.
But watching it for the second time, actually, that I went back to that particular scene after the series. So this is not the first time I'm looking at that part again.
Yeah.
I looked at that part when, you know, they're in the karaoke right after they close their business.
Yeah.
And you'd expect, oh, what? This guy's partying, right? You know, in what they should be probably preparing for something else, or they should probably be watching the restaurant. But I don't know. I just watching it again after finishing other dramas that Park Seo-joon was in.
Yeah.
That he acted. He was a part of. The thing about Park Seo-joon is that he's really good with comedy. He knows
you don't
how
know
to
it
entertain
yet.
people.
Yeah.
He knows how to make people smile and make people laugh. It's just one of the things that Park Seo-joon is really good at.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that make him stand out as an actor. And I just feel that the director of the show or whoever did that part did the fans a service.
It was so
that
funny.
Scene was so funny, and it just really encapsulates Park Seo-joon as an actor.
Yeah.
That, you know, he can be serious, but also he has a fun side.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that scene. It was so memorable for me. And just watching that scene in this episode made me smile all the more.
Okay, yeah.
And
I remember watching that again, the rewatch, when you rewatched it. I was laughing so hard. I forgot about that scene. That was so funny. And it's like the dramatic cut. You go from like the serious like guy who's like you go from basically Chairman Jang saying like, you know, all this stuff about he's like so dramatic about everything, right? He's like fixing up the board, all that stuff, and then it cuts to Park Seo-joon just singing, and then the funny part was the employees are just like, oh, he's terrible, like really, like do we have to keep doing this? And then you watch the reaction of the employees, and it's just so funny. Definitely one of the highlights of this episode for sure.
Yeah. All right, Trey. What about you? What is your most memorable scene? I'm curious to find out what yours is.
Mine would definitely be, so we have Song Hwan hitting his head on the table, and you get the flashback to the prison. I love that part.
Right.
It ties in also to my best quote, but I'm gonna say a bit of it here. So basically, we get a taste of what Seo-joon was like in prison. So you have Sung Hwan, and then he's a bit younger than Seo-joon, but Seo-joon doesn't really care about him, and we learn so much about like, oh, in prison he had no friends. He was just reading his book, and then you have Sung Hwan like fighting him, like, you know, trying to be friends ish, and then ends up fighting him, and then he goes, no one will hire an ex-convict. And then Park Seo-joon says, you can't do anything if you feel that way. Why not try first? And then, so is your life over? Like, study, work hard, work on a boat, do manual labor. Like, is that all you're going to do? And then Seo-joon is like, yeah, I'm going to do those things. Like, my life just started. And then we get that whole scene. I love that part. Because you realize at that moment, like, oh, he really knows Seo-joon. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and he owes a lot to him for giving him that job. because he came from the gang, he didn't like it anymore. He wanted a different life, and Setui basically gave him that new opportunity. Like, hey, here, have this new life, and then he was so patient with him, all that stuff. I love that part. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I liked how I may be touching already on the quote, but I'll probably save that for discussion later. But I like how there's a mini redemption story from how, we see Sung Kwon wanting to end his everyday routine of just doing dirty work and trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And I like how Park Seri just welcomed him in just like that.
Yeah.
Because he's in a situation also where he's just like that.
Yeah.
He went to jail. Yeah. And who would want to hire somebody from jail?
Yeah.
Nobody, right?
Yeah.
But he was one of the first people that really gained the trust of the staff or Park Seri rather, and vice versa. That no matter what background you come from, no matter what your personality is, it doesn't matter, as long as just don't give up and try to make things happen before you already give a prejudgment.
Yeah.
Because you'll never know. You'll never know what happens in the future.
That's true.
Yeah.
I have another one, which is the ending. So I'll just touch on that later.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So let's go to the next one. What's your heartbreak scene?
For me, the heartbreak scene would probably be Iseo kisses Park Seri. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, y'all know me. I'm a Sua stan, but nah. Actually, that scene was okay. That was pretty decent.
All right.
The heartbreak scene would probably be when they were in the coffee shop.
Okay.
When they were when it was the three of them, they finished running around Itaewon. They're just having a coffee, and it was heartbreaking to see that Sua just kept on trying to prove a point with Iseo that
was hard to watch.
I know Park Seri likes me, so it's fine. Like, even though this happened, even though, like, quote unquote, I called the cops. Like, I still like him, or I'm sure he still likes me. The thing is, we don't even know if that really happened. Yet. We don't know if Sua called on the police yet. We don't know. But it was heartbreaking for me to see, because she was trying to prove a point when you kind of... I wanted to see a bit of confidence. Where was that confidence when she confronted Gunwon? When she questioned about his ability to inherit Janga. Where was that confidence in that? So it was also heartbreaking to see Park Seri say that what Sua did, quote unquote, calling the cops, was disappointing. It was heartbreaking. I mean, who would want to have a friend do that to you, right? For me that was heartbreaking in that sense. What about you, man?
All right, so there's no scene that sticks out for me in particular, but I would definitely say that's one of them. So I'll touch on that a bit. When they're doing the thing where it was hard to watch, kind of, when she's just like, oh, he never changes, he likes me. What's been 10 years? I'm just like, I don't need that. Like, that was a bit hard, not heartbreaking, but like, I didn't like it. When I was watching that again, I was just like, oh yeah, that's how much he liked her. He he was like, I'm just disappointed. Which is, I guess that's my part. That's the scene for me. Like, do you still like me? He was like, yes. I'm just disappointed. And I'm like, oh, like this guy is so forgiving. What the heck? Like, it can be a good thing or a bad thing, but then that scene was hard to take in for me.
Yeah. And even if the show makes us feel like it's just 7 years or 10 years is fast, but
10 years is so long.
I'm just thinking about it now, and 10 years, and this Park Seri still likes her and all of that. It feels like, I mean, they should already know where they stand in terms of their relationship and friendship with one another.
Yeah.
So I just didn't like to see that bit of insecurity
Same.
from Sua.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But when I was watching that again, I was just like, shouldn't you at least think about it? Because I was like, all right. Anyway, I don't want to get too much into that. Let's go to the flutter scene.
Ooh.
So this one's a bit difficult, but I have one. So this is
Go ahead.
This is basically GCO, of course, talking to Park Seri after all this happens, where she basically just says like, "Oh, I'll give you some tips. You want to go out for a drink?" He's like, "All right, sure."
Yeah.
And then they go to this bar. By the way, the bar is beautiful. Like, look at that view.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
You have that iconic
the tower,
that iconic tower
Seoul
in Seoul.
Tower,
Yeah.
It was so nice. When I saw that view, I was like, shoot, I want to go there. Anyway, so
Seoul 2022.
this ties in also to my best quote, but this is the part in particular. This is where he falls to the floor after drinking a lot. And then Yuseo thinks in her head, she goes, "There it goes again. My heart. It feels strange. I want to make his life sweet. The feeling I have now is the most foolish thing a human being can do," which was foolish in looking back. But I don't know. I found that really cute, where she was like, "I want to make his life sweet," which is really cute for me.
Yeah.
But there's more on that. More on that scene. I'll get into that later.
All right.
How about you?
For me, I just have a quick thought about that. I like how after Miseo kisses Park Seri, it fades to black, and then he wakes up, and there's like, oh my god,
He was like, "That was a bad dream.
that was a dangerous dream."
Dangerous dream. That's the word.
And that was funny. Another bit of comedy. One of the bits of comedy that a lot of Park Seo-joon
It was so funny.
fans
It was so
will
fun
just
to watch. Yeah.
rave about. On the comedy side, we getting, all of the fans are probably gonna be like, "Oh, we're getting all of the crumbs of comedy
It was so
in
funny.
this show."
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That scene that followed when he woke up. For me, this is sort of like an in between, because I forgot to mention this for the part that broke my heart.
Okay.
But this also is sort of like a flutter scene
All right.
when they were in a bar with the bald guy.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah,
Sua
yeah,
knows.
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they just talk about again Sua saying that you used to like me when we were in high school.
Oh yeah.
Park Seri says, I still do. And I was like, oh, I still do. And then Sue was like, are you toying with me? And
yeah.
Park Seo was like, it's just that we're prioritizing our jobs.
Yeah.
And once my business goes well, then you'll have to you'll end up losing your job. And that's where the sort of heartbreak part goes in.
Yeah.
If I lose my job, I wouldn't be able to help you out. But I'd cheer for you.
I love that scene. That's really nice scene.
Yeah, I love that. I love that particular line also. It gives us a.
It shows their real
us like
friendship. Yeah.
Yeah, it gives us an idea of what their friendship is like.
Yeah.
That, even though they're on opposite ends of the competition, they're still, their friendship is still good. It's still strong, and yeah.
I love that scene when they're talking. It's so funny though. It starts with like the bald guy saying like, "Oh, you get a free drink," and then Sue was like, "Oh, I'll get." She's like, and he's like, "No, not you, only him."
Yeah.
That was a great scene. And then that's a nice quote when she was like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll cheer for you still." That was really sweet. All right, let's go to the next one. Oh wait, that happened?
All right.
Mine would be, all right, so I'm gonna go a little bit off on this. So New Year, we have Yuseo with her friends that apparently she doesn't really like. And she's bored and all that stuff. She just turned 20. These three guys like try to like, have dinner with them, hook up with them. And this is one guy who's like goes after Yuseo when she tries to leave. And that whole sequence of the guy being a jerk, feeling entitled because he paid for food and they spent the night. Like, he's like, oh yeah, we should be hooking up right now. And basically she's like, oh, like, she's trying to be a bit funny, sarcastic, whatever. She's like, oh, you feel like I feel I'm indebted to you because you paid. All right, here's money. She just throws money at him.
She's just like,
just like, here you go.
Take it like the cheap guy that you are.
And then he slaps her.
Yeah,
I forgot this happens.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's the part where they run, but I forgot he actually hits her. Like in my head, when I remember the show, he's just like kind of making a move, and then she runs away, and then he runs after her. I forgot that he actually hits her, and then all the way up to Serui in the toilet. That was so funny. She goes inside the toilet, and Serui's just like, oh, in the middle of a piss. He's like, oh. And it's so funny because he finishes it. He's like, and then basically the guy tries to act like, oh, she's my girlfriend, don't mind her.
Yeah.
And then all that happens. It was a fun sequence to watch again.
Nice.
What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I kind of I could sort of recall that particular part when the guy was trying to chase after Yuseo for her doing just pointing out the obvious that he sucks, she doesn't like him at all.
Yuseo's so rude in a funny way. He's like, what
in your face.
What don't you like about me? Your eyes, your hair, your eyelashes. And I'm just like, yo.
Everything about you. Like,
you're so
she states
mean.
the physical. She states the obvious things first. That she doesn't even mention that. Oh, you're just in it, for the for the fun.
She just tries to break down his pride at that point.
Exactly. Here for the short time, not for the long run. Yeah. He's just trying to break down his pride. Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. For me, the scene that I forgot happened was the scene where we see Gunsu. He's not exactly living the life of a Jang. He's not living the life of an affluent person because he's the sort of like a bastard son like the seen as an outcast sort of kind of guy. And he's trying to make a name for himself. He's working in a pub or a restaurant that he shouldn't actually be working in because he's a minor. But he's doing it because he's trying to make ends meet and pay rent. Yeah. And he was about to be fired. Yeah. And I forgot that scene because I always just remembering Itaewon Class for what it is. I would always remember Gunsu was just going along with Yuseo wherever she went. Oh yeah. So I forgot. Yeah. I forgot the part when Gunsu was living not that well off. Yeah, I forgot about that also. Yeah. Yeah. So that particular scene, I forgot. I forgot that it's so sad. Like his dad is basically in the car watching him. Yeah. And then like the driver, butler, whatever, he's just saying like, "Oh, this is how much he pays for rent," all that stuff. And then he was like, "All right, we can drive away now." I'm like, that sucks. All right. Yeah. I forgot about that as well when you talk about that scene. All right. I have a few honorable mentions I want to hit. So one would definitely be the coffee scene, like the coffee plate scene. It was so funny. Park Serui takes so long to get the coffee. Like when I was watching it again, I was like, how big is this coffee shop? Because they have a whole conversation. So he walks away. I think they talk for like
2-3 minutes. I'm like, how big is it? Or is it not ready yet? Because they have the buzzer thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it would be ready already by then.
Exactly. So I'm like, did you have to wait for it? Because he takes a while. Anyways, I don't know. I found it really weird watching that again, and that whole scene of, oh, he still likes me. I mean, I remember it. I can picture that scene clearly, but it's the little things about that scene that I've forgotten. All right. What's your biggest what if moment that you forgot? Sorry. What's your biggest what if? Just change a little thing. What's different about it?
What if Jang Dae-hee went out of the car and just talked to Gunwan like as early as now?
Ooh. Okay. That's an interesting one.
Like we know that, obviously they're bound to meet each other in the future again.
Yeah.
But like what if this is what if it's a different show,
Yeah.
What if they talk to each other already?
Yeah.
So
that's an interesting. I didn't think about that.
Would that make Gunsu more determined to to prove himself
Good point.
and all of that other stuff? But yeah, what if they met right there and then?
Good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, what about you, man?
What if? That's an interesting one. What if he doesn't offer the job to his old friend from prison? Because he's helpful in the end. He's there,
Yeah, for sure.
I think if he just hires a regular person, I don't know, show changes. The ending will change for sure. Maybe not much prior to the ending, but I feel like he's a big character, especially by the end. What if he doesn't hire him?
Could be, yeah.
Right? I don't know.
Big what if.
Because I don't know. I don't want to get too much into that, but it's an interesting thing. All right. Do you have any more?
No, actually, that's the biggest what if that I have right now.
All right, cool. Let's go to best quote. My favorite part of the episode. So I have a few. All right, I'm gonna go through these. So the first one, what I mentioned earlier, is them meeting in prison, and he was like, "So is your life over?" And then Park was like, "Study, work on a boat, manual labor. I'll do everything. My life just started."
Yeah.
He's like so determined. I love that part.
Yeah.
It just shows you that he doesn't really care. I mean, of course, it's tough on him, but he's like, no, I'm young. I can do what I want. Like, I just have to work for it. Sure. I have to do manual labor first. Sure. But I'll do it. So that's one of mine. Any thoughts on that before I go to the next one?
Yeah. I think. Yeah, you can really just. I think we've mentioned this already. You can just really tell how the characters interact with each other.
Yeah.
It's not what do you call this? It's not like Park Se-ri is gonna. He's not the kind of he's not the kind of person to succumb to his current situation.
Yeah.
I mean, no matter the circumstances,
I agree.
he's always gonna pull through.
That's true. All right.
And even Sua mentioned it, right?
That's true. Yeah.
He's not the kind of person. He never says anything that he doesn't mean.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's a good one.
That's my take.
All right, I'm gonna go to the next one I have. I love this part. So this is basically when they meet up again. He's in the mafia. He sees Serui, and he's talking about his life where he's going through the flow of it, the everyday. He gets bored, all that stuff. He sees Serui actually opening up his pub, and he says this: everyone is given the same amount of time, but the depth of time he and I spent were completely different. He's saying Serui spent the same 7 years a different way than I did. His is deep. He did it. He's doing something. Yeah. What did I do in 7 years? Shallow things. Nothing that really meant anything to me.
Yeah.
I was gambling. I was in the mafia. I was doing all these jobs. Look at him. He's doing the work. I love that scene. I love that part. I love how he had the realization, like, which is true. We're all given the same amount of time, but the depth is different.
Yeah.
And then I'll jump right into my last best quote. This is my favorite one.
Go ahead.
So this is the scene where UCO and Park Seoi are drinking in the in the bar, the really nice bar.
Yeah.
They're talking about the name. She's like, "Why don't you just change the name? Why did you choose Dan Bam?" And Park Seoi says this: "My life, it's a little too bitter. It's just too bitter. I can't sleep well at night. I feel nostalgic, lonely, and upset. So my job is cut out for me, basically. There's no other reason. I just want my bitter night of my life to be a little bit sweet." When I watched it again, I was like, that's so sad. actually, I should put this in the heartbreak scene as well. But then, yeah, I love that scene where he's just like, he shows his intention. He's just like, yeah, it's better, but I want it to be a bit sweet. And then this is also where she's like, I want to make it sweet for you. But then, yeah, basically.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on my selections?
Good selection.
Alright.
The first two obviously is it was the first few picks were, I think a lot of people would pick that also.
Yeah.
For the last scene, I like how what Park Seoi said was very poetic.
Yeah, it was.
It's sort of like his life statement or his ambition.
Yeah.
In a very, because we see here that, you know, for the past few episodes, we see Park Seoi wanting to do something that is on the side of revenge, or, you know, making things even. On a very sort of like a person to person. What do you call this? Person to person type beat. But I like how he says that he wants his bitter night rather. He wants his bitter night and his life to be sweet. It's very poetic because who wouldn't want to have a good life?
Yeah.
Or who would want to have a bad life, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, it really just goes back to that moment, that intimate moment that he had with his dad.
Yeah.
So for him to have that sort of sweet night, it's something that will help him to hold on to that memory of his dad. Yeah. Those are my thoughts for that scene.
What's your best quote?
All right. So I've got a couple of
are they different from mine?
A couple of
Nice.
They're well, I also liked when Park Seoi said that to Sungwon that you have no right to determine my life. My life just begun.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of memes. No. We see a lot of TikTok videos. You know, my life's just starting. I have a 15-year plan. And all of that. Yeah, but good stuff. Good quote from Park Seoi. Just a couple of quotes that I want to mention is when they just finished the karaoke scene after my most memorable scene.
Yeah.
You know, there's Sungwon apologizing. I'm sorry. And then Park Seoi's just like, you know, if you apologize to me one more time, I might actually fire you.
Yeah.
So, and then we see Hyunhee is just like, yeah, do it already.
That's so
you
funny.
know, so you can quit.
That's
you know,
so
just
funny.
in a very sarcastic manner. And then, you know, they're still enjoying the night, and Park Seoi is saying, "Oh, where do we go?" And well, which karaoke do you want to hit up next?
Like, no.
Hyunhee's like, "No, please." And then someone's like, "Do me a favor, please don't sing in public." And then Park Seoi goes, "You really want to get fired?" I love that scene. So I love that quote.
So funny.
Just for the just for the comedic relief.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we need a comedic relief.
In a show like
when
this,
there's a lot of
especially.
seriousness going on. Probably this one. I think this one would take the cake for me.
Go.
For most memorable quote, it's right when they were about to run, when Yuseo catches Park Seori in the bathroom.
That's so funny, by the way.
And I like how finally there was that sort of release that Park Seori says, "If I meddle here, am I being nosy?" And we see that all of their interactions in the past was about Park Seori interfering.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And Yuseo saw it as, you know, being
nosy, like butting
being
in,
nosy, being out of place, you know, mind your own business. But finally, we see that sort of release where Yuseo's like, from the point where I can do things on my own.
Yeah.
I'm a self-made person. I'm an independent woman who need no man. That type of thing.
Yeah.
And we finally see here that Park Seori says, you know, I can't do anything if you keep quiet.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
And Yuseo says, "Okay, help me."
Yeah.
And just straight like that.
That was nice.
I like that quote for the very simple reason that they finally acknowledge each other.
That's good.
Just for that. It's not even for what happened to Park Seori before.
Yeah.
You know, the incident with Kunwon and him getting expelled. Just for the very simple reason that Yuseo is in trouble. Park Seori is in a position to help.
Yeah.
But finally, Yuseo acknowledges Park Seori.
Yeah.
Just for that very simple reason. I mean, sometimes memorable quotes don't have to be, you know, super grand.
No, that's a good one. Yeah.
For me, the quotes that stand out to me the most are the ones that really either drive the plot in, doesn't have to be in a grand way, but even in a very subtle way.
Yeah.
Just like one small detail makes a lot already.
True.
And obviously the sentimental quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are
That's
my
a good
quotes.
one. I love that scene where we get to watch Park Seori beat up this guy. It's so satisfying. You're like, let's go. And then they run around the Taiwan. This is where the scene. This is the scene from the trailer actually. If you remember that, where they're just running around, and then there's like this narration of like, he's too shiny for me, all that stuff. And then you get that scene of Itaewon. You get to really see it. That was fun. I was like, shoot, like this is what Itaewon really looks like. It's such a fun watch. And when they finally acknowledge each other, great scene. All right. Let's go to the Itaewon Class Award. The biggest lesson or realization from the episode. So mine would be,
right.
I'll tie mine into the best quote. For me, it would be, our life is just starting. Sometimes it feels like it's so, like we're getting old. We're in our 20s going onwards. We feel, sometimes you feel like, because you look online and you see like these people. Oh, this person's like 25 and he's running this big company. So sometimes we feel like, oh shoot, like, am I behind on this? But when you look at it, there's really no timeline for things to happen. You never really know. I love that part where he's like, my life just started. You don't get to define my worth. Because basically, everyone in that prison saying like, oh, you can't do it. You'll have to do manual labor. And then he was just like, no. Like, you don't get to define what I do. My life has just begun. I love that scene. Like, for me, that's the biggest lesson from the whole episode.
Yeah, actually, for me, that scene and a lot of other scenes that relate to that. I'll just go and say it right now. That's also the learning that I took from the show that stood out to me the most. I'd have to say that. For me, what I got this episode is that what matters in the past and the future doesn't matter, um, as long as you make a decision now.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair point.
it doesn't matter what happened in the past. It doesn't matter what will happen in the future. What matters is what you make of your present situation.
Yeah.
What do you plan to do with the things that happened? What do you plan to do with the things that will happen? What are you gonna do about it? Because you could have a bad past, but you make things right and you start over.
Yeah.
You could have a great future, but if you don't take the necessary steps now to achieve that future, you're never gonna get there in the first place.
That's true. That's a great. That's
For
a
me,
great
yeah.
point.
I like that. I like that because Park Seri is not only a, he doesn't look back too much.
Yeah. He doesn't look at it and says like, "Oh, that's who I am." He doesn't do that.
It's a sort of drive for him, but it's not his. It's not something that he always has to go back.
True.
And he always has to dwell on that. He's also somebody that he's very forward-looking.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he doesn't get too caught up with with having the successful life or having the good life.
Yeah.
The immediate pleasures of life, or even as simple as being in a relationship with Sua.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But rather, he's focusing on, okay, how can I do things now? What can I do now?
Yeah.
That will help me to become a better person.
Yeah. Exactly. Being the present.
Yeah. For me, that's the lesson that I took from this episode.
All right. Great. Let's go to the last part. I love this part. So before we get into this, let me just paint the picture a little bit. So you have Yiseo on the bridge. She just talked to her mom about the whole thing. Her mom's like, "Oh, like, I want you to be happy, all that stuff, but live this life, how I want you to be." And then Yiseo is just like, "Oh yeah, all that stuff." So she goes to the bridge. She has this great quote. She was like, "Life is a series of choices, producing a result that matches your values. Like, people call it a good choice or a correct answer." She's like, "I'm 20. I'm still confused about the values of life." So you can tell, like, she's still going through this. And it makes sense for her age.
Yeah.
She has the coin flip where it's like two decisions and something, right? And she doesn't catch it. It falls into the ocean. And then she's like, what do you call this? I wonder if it was heads or tails. In the moment, was I thinking, which one did I want it to be? And then she starts running and she goes, I decided to call it tails. She starts running back to Itaewon, all that stuff. She runs to Dan Bam. Park Seo steps out. Oh, what brings you here? And she's like, I want to be with you. And then Park Seo's like, what? Like, what did you say? And then
no, I just want to work for you.
Yeah. But before that, she has like this thought: love and success. I can achieve all these things. And then she goes, I want to work here. I will help you achieve your dream. I will help you achieve your dream, boss. And then she was thinking, he's not just a mediocre man. I will turn him into something amazing. I'll do it. I will. And that's the end of the episode. So it goes, psh. Looking back, it's funny. I was thinking about this for quite a while. It's weird to think about it in this sense, but when you look at the story of the whole show, this is basically the meet the mentor scene.
Yeah, okay.
This is basically where his deepest flaw, which is he's not good at marketing and design.
Yeah.
And then suddenly he has this, girl who wants to help him, wants to be an employee, wants to help him succeed. This is basically the part where she starts helping him in the show.
Yeah.
She pushes the story and pushes the pub into excellence. Starting at the scene. It's weird because, of course, it's packaged as a love scene. It's packaged as like, oh, he likes him. But in the long run, in the business sense, this is the scene where you start to feel hopeful again. You're like, oh wait, they can do it. She has 700,000 followers. Nice. She knows how to do it, and it's a great introduction into ECO for the past 2 episodes. But as a lens filler rating, I'll give mine now. It's not that high. It's like it's a 6, 5.5, 6. It's a great catapult. Cliffhanger, not so much.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'll probably give it a 5.
All right.
This time around, I'm not so generous because like,
because
like as a lens flare moment, it's like, oh, I want to work for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah. No, but
Like,
she has the
that
whole
was
like,
bound to happen, right?
like, I'll help him turn into something amazing.
Like, all right, cool,
Yeah.
good for you. Like, but yeah, I mean,
I'll admit, when I first watched it, I was so excited. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Finally, help him. He needs help. And then looking back now, I'm like, all right, it's okay.
Yeah, I think for me the first time I watched it, I was just like, oh, cool, he's working now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, 5.
All right. Fair.
Out of 10.
Fair. Final thoughts?
I mean, it's not great, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's like,
it's just in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just somewhere in the middle.
it's like you ended, you're like, oh, that's a good ending. But it wasn't like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it wasn't like mind blowing or it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh my god, I have to see the next episode.
Yeah, I agree. When I was watching this, I think I stopped here. If I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah.
it's so basically at this point onwards, episode 5 onwards, we have almost the whole Dan Bam team together. And it's the start of the Dan Bam, real part
Start of something
of
new.
where they, struggle and all that stuff. So we'll get into that in the next episodes. Final thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, I think this episode was definitely better. Well, personally, it was a lot better than
3?
episode
I
3.
agree.
Not to say
I
that
agree.
episode 3 was bad.
I agree.
But I personally enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
For all the right reasons. And I think the episode was done very well, and we finally get the story moving yet again. We finally have a feel of what it's going to be like with a new team with Yeseo and Gunsu around. So exciting. What about you? Final thoughts?
For me, I'll just put this back a little bit. I forgot to mention it earlier, but the revelation that, or not revelation, but like, I realized that Yeseo moved from New York 1 year prior. It's so interesting when you look at her character. You're like, oh, that's why she's like that. That's why she's so upfront and all that stuff. Because that's generally how New Yorkers are. If they don't like something, they'll say it to your face. Compared to like the more conservative way of talking in Korea. So it was interesting. Like, oh shoot, like I understand a bit of her character a bit more now. Another thing would definitely be the whole scenes of Park Seo-ri in prison, the ex-convict life going into redemption. I love that part. You learn about these people, and generally the scene of Yeseo, Park Seo-ri, and Suwa running around. You're just like, oh, interesting. Like, is this what the show's gonna be revolving around? And I don't know. I like the episode. Definitely for me, better than episode 3. Episode 3 was fine. It was fine. Episode 4, you get all this stuff happening. Yeseo finally says like, "Oh, I want to work with you," and that's it. That's great.
Yeah.
And episode 5 onwards, 6, 7. Talk about that next week. 5 and 6 next week. The week after, we got 7 and 8. So on and so forth. I'm still with Josh Hernandez. Stripe Watch episode 4 is over.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Kamsahamnida.
Josh, I'll see you next week.
I'll see you next week, Trey.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for watching.